update on the federal case and how that's going to unfold with the state case?
They have a motion hearing in either October or November, but as of right now, both cases are proceeding forward.
How are you feeling after the preliminary hearing?
The court found that there was enough evidence presented at the preliminary hearing to hold the defendant to answer for trial.
What did you think of his behavior in court yesterday?
I didn't personally see it, and so I'm not going to comment on it.
And as for the family, lots of family has showed up in support moving forward. What are your thoughts?
The victims' families?
Yes.
Yeah, there were some victims who were here yesterday and today. It's a tragedy for them to go through, but I think it was also important for them to see that the case is proceeding forward.
Name and spelling, all right. Yoni, Y-O-N as in Nancy, I. Last name Weinberg, W-E-I-N as in Nancy, B as in boy, E-R-G.
How are you feeling this morning?
Well, today Almog Peretz, my client, was subpoenaed to discuss what he went through in the shooting that happened in Chabad of Poway on April 27th. And it's not something that's easy to do, to go over it. And today, one of the things that he's asked me to speak about is the effects of the mental health, of how the shooting affects mental health. And oftentimes, seemingly every 2 to 4 weeks now, we hear about a shooting, and we hear about the deaths and the physical injuries that occur because those are the most blatant. But what we don't hear about are the long-term effects on mental health, on survivors. And that's something that I think we need to bring out and have a conversation about. Almog Peretz is one of the bravest individuals that I've ever met in my life. When he saw the gunman shooting, he could have ran away on his own. Every second that you can save every second is that's a potentially life-saving second. And the AR-15 shoots about 1 bullet per second, and all it takes is 1 to kill. So when he saw the gunman shooting, the first thing he did, he went and picked up a 4-year-old girl while bullets were flying at them. He then grabbed his niece, Noya Dahan, by the hand and dragged her out, and then he got 10 to 20 children to safety after that. And he can take solace in the fact that he did that. That's something he takes with him. He knows that he likely saved their lives, but unfortunately that's all he really has to hang on to today. He's a single man living in Los Angeles, no family around him, got diagnosed with PTSD, going to treatment every week, going to physical therapy as well as psychological treatment. When you go through that, it's hard to form relationships. It's hard to go and find a job, to go to work. It's scary, when you have the image burned in your head of a man in a militaristic vest aiming a rifle at you with sole intent on taking away your life because of nothing other than your religion. And when you go through that, as Almog has discussed with me in depth, you know, he's always looking for the next John Ernest. No matter where he is, he's always looking, you know, when is the next John Ernest going to appear and start firing, no matter where he is? Because if it could happen at a peaceful place like a synagogue, it can happen anywhere. And, you know, all the things that come along with not being able to form relationships and works, you know, just, and work, just, you know, not being able to pay the bills and not knowing, you know, what the future holds, all of those things just compound the damage that mental trauma brings about. And so his main focus today, and why he's asked me to speak with you guys, is to get out the message that mental injuries are no less important than physical injuries. And we need to, you know, spread that conversation, you know, and make sure that when we, you know, when we allocate resources to health, we're allocating them not just to physical injuries, but to mental injuries as well.
What was it like for him preparing for today? Obviously, not an easy thing to relive it. You working with him, what was his emotions this week?
You know, it's tough. It wasn't easy for him. You know, coming up over here in court in front of a lot of strangers, and especially in front of the shooter himself, and to, you know, to discuss what he's been going through. It's hard enough to live through it, but to talk about it is very, very, very difficult. And you know, that's pretty much all I can say about that.
Have you heard how the niece is doing?
The niece, I don't want to speak, you know, on her behalf. You know, we've, you know, seen in the media, you know, luckily she's had the support of family around her. You know, in the community, you know, they've really, really helped her out. You know, they came out and, you know, had a nice birthday party for her. And so I don't want to speak on her behalf because I haven't spoken to her. But you know, luckily she has family, and having family and that circle of support around you definitely helps. And that's something that Almog does not have around him in Los Angeles.
How do you think Almog did today with those questions during the process as well?
Well, he has a very good recollection of what happened, and so he was confident because, you know, the truth is behind him. You know, when you're telling the truth, and, you know, I mean, he has shrapnel from bullets that are embedded in his leg, and are going to be, you know, embedded in his leg to serve as a reminder of this for the rest of his life. You know, there's not really, you know, much room to, you know, to forget or you know, not recall the events of what happened. I mean, he was there. He saw the shooter. He grabbed the girl off the ground. He grabbed another girl by the hand. He was shot, ran out, you know, saved kids. So it's pretty straightforward. And he was very confident. I think he did a great job, you know, given the circumstances.
How was he after he was up on the stand? Did you get to talk to him afterwards?
I spoke to him briefly. You know, he told me it wasn't easy to do, but, you know, again, it's for him, it's very important to get the message out. He wants people to really understand that, you know, there's a lot more, you know, after all the storylines are done, and when the next shooting happens, you know, they don't get to forget about this. They live with it, and you know, live with it for the rest of their lives.
And aside from the message that he cares so much about, what does he hope to see come from trial? What has he expressed to you what he hopes this all ends up as?
He wants justice. You know, he hasn't gotten too much into detail of, you know, what he wants specifically to happen to the shooter. You know, right now he's kind of just, you know, focusing on himself and people around him, and, you know, really it's just when you're in that hole of PTSD, there's, you know, you're not focusing too much on what happens with the court proceedings. He's putting it in their hands. Any more questions? No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said you represented him, are you?
I'm his attorney. I'm his attorney,
Oh, okay, and you're representing him in what?
in the civil capacity.
Yeah, for what reason?
Well, waiting for that question from you, but we're not, we can't go into that today. You know.
I know the prosecutor said that he might not be available for trial. He
Right.
might not get his